Camera shots that inspired us to try and put in within our film which we're creating. The first film what we looked at was the very famous Jaws, which is about a giant great white shark what arrives on the shores of New England, a beach resort, and wreaks havoc with bloody attacks and swimmers until a part-time sheriff teams up with a marine biologist and an old seafarer to hunt the monster down. It was released on the 20th of June 1975 and directed by Steven Spielberg. The first shot what we're going to take a look at within this film is an underwater tracking shot near the beginning of the actual film. We like the effect that this draws, not just because of the fact that it's underwater, but because of the way the tracking shot is done as a shark. This we thought was very effective, as the way the camera moves from side to side as if we were the shark itself. This shot itself is very creative and adds an extra effect to the movie, and without it the scene wouldn't be as great, we don't think. The second camera shot is still part of Jaws and it's actually still from the same scene. It's a very famous dolly zoom, which is a shot that sees the camera track forward towards the subject while simultaneously zooming out, which creates a wooden fictitious effect. Dolly zoom we thought was very effective and simple to use, and it's a very great way of showing that the character actually knew that it was going to happen, and it's a great way of showing emotion, and that's why we're going to try and use it within our film. The second film we looked at was Mean Streets. It was released in 1973 and directed by Martin Sellerus. The plot's about Martin Sellerus's, which is a classic gangster movie which tells the story of Charlie, played by Harvey Keitel, a small-time New York hood struggling to escape from his criminal upbringing, but whose loyalty to his troublesome and often psychotic cousin Johnny Boy, played by Robert De Niro, keeps dragging him back in. We really like one particular scene, which is the pool hall fist fight, where a shot in which the camera operator holds the camera during motion to create a jerky, intimate feel, and we feel that it basically says this is real life, baby, and that's why we like it, because it makes it think that it's actually happening, and it really draws in the audience and creates a lot of effect within that one scene. The third film we're going to look at was Touch of Evil. It was released on the 21st of May in 1958, and it's about a Mexican investigator who's drawn into an American investigation while on his honeymoon, when a Mexican national is arrested of a bombing. But a corrupt local sheriff will stop at nothing to prove his case, even though it wasn't actually him. We like the sequel shot, which is hard to do, however, it is very effective, as during the first 3 minutes and 20 seconds of the opening scene of Touch of Evil, Mike Vergers, played by Charlton Heston, and Susie, played by Janet Leigh, cross paths with a car carrying a ticking bomb. We like the way it's a long shot that covers the scene in its entirety in one continuous sweep without editing. We like the way it really sets the location of the area and what's actually going on. This we thought was a very creative and excellent way of setting the actual scene and getting the audience to know what's going to happen and what time period it's set in. The fourth film we looked at was Hot Fuzz. It was released on the 14th of February 27 and directed by Edgar Wright. It is about an exceptional London cop called Nicholas Angel who's involuntarily transferred to a quaint English village and paired with a witless new partner. While on the beat, Nicholas suspects a sinister conspiracy is afoot with the residents. We like the constant use of whip puns with the film, as we found it's very effective in a sense of confusing the audience and into not quite knowing what's going on, what's actually about to happen. A whip pan is the same as a normal pan, but it's a lot faster, as it's so fast that it actually blurs the picture beyond recognition. It's usually accompanied by a whoosh sound, though this shot was used in Hot Fuzz, which is a comedy. We really like the idea of blurring the image, so it wasn't even recognisable. This way we could provoke confusion and draw our audience in. So we're going to try and use it within our film. A fifth film we looked at was Citizen Kane, which was released on the 1st of May 1941. It was directed by Orson Welles and is frequently voted one of the best films ever made. Orson Welles' masterpiece tells the story of a newspaper magnate, Charlie Foster Kane. In a series of flashbacks, a reporter is intrigued by the dying Kane's last words, Rosebud, and sets out to find a new angle on the life of one of the most powerful men in America. We like the focus shot because it sets the scene. This is an interesting shot because it keeps the foreground, middle ground and background all in sharp focus. When usually directors only keep one in sharp focus, and then the others are blurred out slightly or fully depending on what film it's used within. The main reason why we like this shot is because it shows the audience the whole scene and it sets it as well. This way there would be a better understanding of what's actually going on and what's happening within the scene, and telling the audience and drawing them in about what time period it's set in as well, so they can get in the right mindset. The sixth film we looked at was a classic, The Sound of Music, which was released on the 2nd of March 1965, and it was directed by Robert Wise. The film is about a former nun who leaves a convent to become a governess for the 7 children of a wealthy Austrian widower who has grown into a cold disciplinarian. Soon she opens the children up to the wonders of life and the joy of music, and eventually softens the heart of the father and gains his love. Though this film has a lot of good camera shots within it, we really like the aerial shot, which is an external shot filmed usually at an exotic location. This shot was right at the beginning of the opening of The Sound of Music. The last film we looked at was De Palma's Carrie, which was released in 1976 and was directed by Brian De Palma. The film is a classic horror movie based on Stephen King's first novel. Stars Sissy Spacek as Carrie White, a shy, defendant teenager who is the butt of a practical jokes at the small town high school. Her blind panic as her first period happens, a result of ignorance and religious guilt drummed into her by a fanatic mother. Margaret, played by Piper Laurie, only causes her classmates' viciously cruelty to escalate, despite the attentions of her overly solicitous gym teacher, played by Betty Buckley. Finally, when the venomous Chris Hodson, played by Nancy Allen, engineers a prank at a school prom, Carrie lashes out in a horrifying display of her heretofore minor telekinetic powers. We like the arc shot within this film because it circles the subject is viewing. This we thought gave the subject a sense of power and showed the audience who's in control, while giving them actual hints about what's going to happen to the future within